So we're on the last week of the coastal scene project, and if anybody wants to watch it, I'll just do a little bit more of this. So last week, what I did was just tried out a little bit of so this was a sketch I did a while back, and then put it into the computer, just made it a little bit bigger, and that was just altering the design a little bit. So what I did was I made these figures a little bit bigger. So that's that. And then from that, I'm thinking perhaps do a little painting, like a little painted study. So this will be in acrylics. And what I've done is I've put a load of pastel on the back of my computer printout, and then just pop that on there, and then just traced over it. So I can just about see the lines. I've not done them too dark. So the idea of that is that I can just about see them, I can follow them, but I don't want them to really stand out and dominate the picture. So I think like these pencil lines, I'm never that fond of pencil lines because they're quite hard to get rid of. They show through your image. So that's a little bit I've added that was missing from my sketch, but is and I found the photograph that it's not exactly the same moment I did the sketch, but it's a similar sort of scene. So I'm thinking, well, I could work that up as a painting now. So I'll just do a tiny bit of that, and with acrylics I tend to work from background to foreground, so use a little bit of, so I'll just do a little bit of this, and then what I'll do is I'll use this one through the next, through the week, and if you want to see how it progresses, have a look at the videos at the end of the week to see how it goes. So I just want to make a nice, it's quite a dark tone that, isn't it? So I'm just going to make a little darkish tone. Sort of bluey grey. I'm adding a little bit of brown to the blue. It's quite a nice greeny colour in there. Tiny bit of water, but I just want a tiny drop. I don't want to make it too thin. If you make the acrylics too thin, it will break down the strength of the paint. So it's not like watercolours. You want the paint reasonably strong, I would say. So just paint around things like this heart. That's my sketch, so that's going to come down to here. This is quite dark. What you'll find is with acrylics, they will dry a little bit darker. So you get what's called a colour shift, tonal shift. So that's something just to be aware of. I could paint over the boats and paint them back in, but I'm actually just going to keep the position of the boats there. That would be just the start of the sky going in. Okay, and if I was working with oil paints, I'd really work in exactly the same way. So that's basically what we do with that one. So I'll leave that on for a minute. Ian was asking about how I go about painting things like very thin lines. So I thought I'll just do a little demonstration of that. And it made me think, perhaps with these short demos at the beginning, if there's particular things you want me to cover, because sometimes I might just be going over the same things and the same sort of approaches, which I think is useful because sometimes people forget things from month to month. So I'll just pop this on a different board and just swap the images over. So this was your painting, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
we just want to pop this image up here. It's quite a tiny image. And find another board. So straight lines, I do find them to be quite a challenge.
Can you see through?
Yeah, no, fine.
So I'll go over to, actually I'll swap over to oils now. So that, what I've used is acrylics there. I'll just swap these over and just look at some oils. So these are water mixable oils, but if, conventional oils, just using them exactly the same. I would use something to thin the paint a little bit. And this is a mixture of linseed oil and it's like a thinner sort of thing. So with conventional oils, it would be linseed oil and a little bit of solvent mixed together. So I'll just keep hold of these little tiny jam jars. These are quite useful for putting medium in. And I just put half and half of each. And that gives me something that's quite nice and usable. There's a couple of different ways that I've, so this was the way I've been painting straight lines for quite a long time. And it's not, I don't do this quite so often now. But basically what you want is a fairly sharpish brush. Let's try that one. That should go fairly flat. So it could be either the white lines or the dark, but because it's a lighter thing, I'll use the find a colour that's a bit more moist. That's all red. So I'm making the paint fluid so that I can get a nice line of that. This is just a bit of cardboard with a bevel on it. So it's a piece of mount board that I cut a mount out. But on one of these edges, I must have cut it at 45 degrees. So sometimes I use bits of card, sometimes I use bits of wood and just cut 45 on wood. So if I do that, hopefully I can get a reasonably straight line. So that's
a lot.
it pays to just wipe it between strokes, because you can end up almost like printing a bit off. So you could do that, and then this is a flat line. You might then be able to just very carefully kind of go around the corner there to get these other bits. And probably a flattish brush, a decent flattish brush is the way to go with that. Just using the corner of the brush. We'll make that look a bit longer. So something like that. So that's one method. Another approach, again, using the same paint, but perhaps a thinner, rounder brush. And I haven't really quite got all the equipment I need for this. What I tend to do, so this is the nearest I've got to a stick with a screw on the end. So what I'm doing, I've got this stick, and it's got a screw coming out here, like that. And I can either hook it on there, on this side, like almost like get the screw to hook on there, or I can just rest it on the board. So I can do that. But what it does is it keeps like an even distance. And then if I could do that, and then basically I'm resting that bit, the ferrule, on the stick. So I have it at a distance where I'm not touching the actual hairs, I'm just resting that ferrule bit. And I found this works quite well. I use this quite a bit now. I probably use both methods. Just do it freehand. Yeah, so you can get sort of thinnish, maybe get that tiny bit thinner. Yeah, it just depends how thin you want them. And sometimes I don't mind, sometimes I've painted, like recently painted like some weatherboarding on a house, like fireboarding. And it doesn't necessarily matter if there's slight variations in the lightness or darkness. Sometimes that can work. But probably on that, with your line here, you want them fairly solid. So you want to just and so touch the board. So you could use like a thin round brush, or even like a rigger brush. I quite often use a rigger brush, and just help hold it a little bit further back because the head's a bit longer. So they're probably the best methods I can think of.
But thinning the paint down obviously makes a difference.
Yeah. And just get it. You want it obviously strong enough to cover, but thin enough to flow. And to be honest, my paintings quite often they're not that thick. Another method is just like have a straight flat brush and just do that, almost like prints on the marks. It's a bit woollier looking, but that's another way of standing right on the canvas, right? just doing that sort of print thing. So three methods there.
And then you let that dry, and then in that case you do the white afterwards.
Yeah, you could do. Well, you could just pick one colour and the other. You could paint it all white and then paint the black over the top.
Okay.
I think that would be easier than painting it all black and painting the white over the top.
Yeah.
I think like if I was painting that, I'd be inclined to paint the whole of the cabin or the structure above white, and then
Yeah.
paint the darkness over the top.
That's
Let it dry between coats. That would be the easiest way, I think. So that's that. A couple of other things to mention. I've ordered some lino printing stuff. So one or two people want to do lino printing. I think I've got 4 classes, and I've probably ordered enough for between 30 and 40 people overall, because I'm thinking probably not everybody's going to want to have a go. But it's something that I will start to demonstrate next week, but I may not. It may not have arrived by next week. Hopefully it will, but if not, I'll still do the demonstration bit so that you can learn the process, or if you don't, get refreshed on the process. So this isn't going to be for everybody. One or two people might fancy doing this, others might not want to be interested at all. That's absolutely fine. But it was something that was requested, and 1 or 2 people in all the groups were interested, so I thought I'd pop this on. It's something like if you wanted to make some, simple-ish Christmas cards, you could always do something like that. What else? And then the next week is the new project. So this is the last week of this project. So we're into November next week, and we'll be looking at what we had on for November was facial features. Well, features. So it could be face features, hands, feet, things like that. But it'll kind of lead into portraiture. So if you want to do any sort of portraiture. So, no, that's fine if you don't. Don't feel that you need to go there if you don't want. Yeah. So
if you want to see inhuman
yeah. Well, you're very free to skip it, or if you just want to do like 5 minutes drawing and then go back to your other project, whatever you want, however you want to play it, is absolutely fine.
I think I've done 2 in watercolours.
Yeah.
I mean, they do look
But
like
that's-
human beings,
Yeah.
but,
That was it.
big question marks.
Yeah. Okay. All good with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So,